welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa, and today I'm going to be playing with some more 8.5 by 11 papers. I played with them yesterday when I was making the journal pages. Hopefully you saw that those are fun to make. I made quite a few after I finished the video. But yeah, so I was like, well, what else can I do with this? I had the stack of papers out, so what else can I do? So I had a prototype that had been sitting on my desk for a while that was folded up, so I was like, let's give that one a shot. So I don't think I've done this before, but then part of me thinks I did do it before and the prototype was left over. I'm not sure, but I'm sure even if I did it before, I'd probably put a different spin on it again for this version. So again, the are two papers, so I'm making them so that they can coordinate. They can go into the same journal because they are the same papers, and they are a bunch of pockets. So the first one is a pocket that is double-sided with the two pieces of paper. I'm going to show you how I did those, and it's got a corresponding tab. Now you can mix and match and put them so that the tab is the same or the tab is different. So we got that. It's got a pocket here and a pocket there, as well as a pocket on the side here that goes in. So and also, if you put it on a page, you could have a pocket back here. So you got the pocket, this tag, pocket, pocket, pocket. Lots of pockets, lots of tags, lots of fun. 2 sheets of paper. So, super easy to do. Let me show you how I did it. All right, so again, I'm starting with 8.5 by 11. Make sure they're 8.5 by 11. If you saw my last video, you saw that my pads of paper, one of them is 8.5 by 11.5, and it's weird. Actually, this was one of them, so I had to cut it down a little bit. This was come from a 12 by 12 that I cut down to 8.5 by 11. And simple. Let's go ahead and do it. Oh, the one thing you want to do is make sure that whichever print you have, do not have a specific orientation, that they can be flipped up, and you'll see why, because you don't want the stuff to be necessarily upside down. You could use double-sided paper, but it is not necessary for what we are doing here. So we're going to fold the piece of paper in half, and then we're going to fold it in half the other direction, trying to line it up as best as possible. I am boom folding it just to get a nice good crease there. Okay, so we are going to fold and fold. It's going to look a little bit weird because it's not going to be folded that way, but we are going to fold it so that the tall way is up like this, and we're going to fold the tall way like this, and then this bottom part is going to flip up. So that's why you have to make sure that it doesn't have an orientation, because if this is straight this way, when you flip it up, this would be upside down. So when we go to flip it up, we need to get rid of the bulk. I want to have this as the flipped up pocket, this one. So I need to get rid of this inside piece here. So we are going to find my big scissors, there they are, and we are going to get rid of this piece. And we are going to cut directly on the fold line, and that's why I creased it, to give a little better guide for me. Now if I needed to ink this or something so I see it better, that's an option to do, but I can see it pretty good. You probably won't be able to see it, but I can see it pretty good. Okay, so this is this part right here, and then this is going to come up to make the pocket. Save that for later. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to cut the angle. Now for these two, I cut 2 different angles because they can be whatever they want. This one I cut farther down, it's hard to see, but I wanted more of these pretty flowers to show here, and a little bit of pocket. So if I wanted to stick something smaller in there, like a tag, I could and still show that pocket. This one I ended up cutting a little bit more bigger. So it really is just whatever you feel like doing. And I'm just going to start at the bottom corner and then aim up somehow. And I'm just going to go to almost the top. Okay, save that to the end. And we're going to do the same with this one. We are going to fold in half. And fold in half. And there we go. Okay, so once again, we are going to fold it in half, and we fold it up. We know that this is the one we need to get rid of because that is the one on the inside. Pretty straightforward, I think. Hopefully it is straightforward in your mind. Any questions you have about it, of course, I'd be welcome to take them down in the comments. Okay. There we go. So there is going to be the top pocket, and this is what gets flipped up. So, and you can see I did it, so again, this was not any direction. Okay, I think I'm going to cut this circle in half, and it's going to end up even a little bit of a thing there, and I think I'm okay with that. Okay, again, save and save. All right, so for these pockets, what we want to do is put little thumb holes in them. So we're going to put a little thumb hole, just a tiny one, in that pocket. We are going to, for the top one, we are going to put a thumb hole down here for the side pocket. And we're going to put one in the center here for the top pocket. All right, let's do the same on this. All right, angle, oops, shoot. I cut it wrong. I cut it wrong. Well, that's a bummer. Okay, to fix it, I'm going to cut that off. And instead of flipping it up, I'm just going to glue it on. And we'll go that way. Because we don't have any pockets. I think that's what I was trying to do, is pocket to the side, and I flipped it in my head and not flipped it on the paper. So keep that in mind, that when you want to, wherever the opening is, and you flip it up, to make sure that you can do that versus how I just did it there. See, this is what happens when you do it live and in person and not edit to death, is that happens sometimes. Okay, so I'm gonna ink that, and oh, forgot to cut these. So we're gonna pretend that would flip up. So this side is gonna be a thumb hole, and the top is going to be a thumb hole. That is what's nice about doing this, is you can fix your mistakes. All right, so I am going to make sure that the inside is inked a little bit. As I was going around, I made a mark of where it needed to be so that it is, the thumb holes are covered. You do not have to ink. That is not prerequisite for any of this. But if you don't like the white, then if you do that when you're inking around, you will see. And I'm just expanding on it just a little bit to make sure it is covered. Okay. All right, now we're going to glue this up. I'm going to glue the first one that is done correctly so we can see it's done correctly. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to glue this pocket, this sideways pocket. So I'm going to just guesstimate about the same height from the bottom up, and I'm going to glue it a little shorter. It's not necessary, but I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to glue Hopefully I'm not out of camera. And I'm going to glue this side up for that pocket. Okay, we're flipping that around. And so there's a line right in there. So this pocket stops and this pocket goes this way. And then we're going to glue this coming up. And there we go. Okay, so again, we have that side pocket, we have this top one and the side one, and then we will get the second one situated in a moment. Okay, so first off, we need to do the smaller pocket. So again, I'm going to go about equal distance from there to there. I'm just going to throw a little glue in there so that it's not as deep of a pocket, and some there. All right, if you're off a bit because your fold was weird, I say just go back and trim it a little. No one's the wiser. Sometimes that happens with the folds and how it gets cut. Okay, so next we would take this and flip it up, but we can't flip it up. I'm gonna have to trim this off in a second. We are going to glue this corner down. Okay, we're gonna make sure the corner is right spot. Okay. Instead of cutting that off, I'm gonna glue it around just to kind of lock that corner in place. Okay, beautiful. You would hardly know that it wasn't folded up. Now, I guess that is a way, if you had double-sided paper or a paper with an orientation, that if you wanted to do that instead of flipping it up and being upside down, when you flip it up, cut it off and flip the paper around to make it work. So, options. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the opposite color and put it on to these things. Now, since they're cut at weird angles, sometimes you can't just put it there because it's weird. You have to situate it to where you want it to go and put your glue down. Oops, thumb hole. Ooh, almost lost the inker. And a little bit of ink. Okay. All right, so really my main concern is this distance is even. Don't worry that it's a little cattywonk here because we are going to trim it down. We are just more concerned that that is an equal distance, and you'll see. Okay, so this one we're going to put our thumb notch and ink. All right, this one is a little bit bigger, and we should be okay though. I'll have to bring it down. Yeah, it'll work. We'll be able to get it to work. Okay. Now, if you didn't have enough, you could definitely pull it and have a tiny little pocket. It doesn't have to be just, you know, an inch away from it. It could be a little bit more. I have to put a little bit of glue back on that. It buckled a little. Okay. All right, so while that's drying before I cut it, I'm going to deal with these two pieces. So to make these pockets that go in here, or these tags, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these two pieces together with my stick glue. Now I'm not gonna glue them flat onto each other. I'm gonna glue them off center so I can wrap the back to the front. So it is a two-sided tag coordinating. Okay. Now there's a chance that these are not going to be top to bottom equal because these are the cutoffs, and sometimes you don't cut right on the fold. Sometimes it's off a little. Sometimes you just are on an angle. But we can go back and trim it a little bit when we're said and done. So I'm just going to fold that up just to pre-fold it. So I'm not struggling with it. And we're going to fold that and give it a nice crease. And same with this side. Pre-fold it and put some glue. Okay, we are going to let this dry before we trim that. And we're going to put this glue pin in. All right, so next thing we're going to do is get the glue off our fingers. We are going to take and we are going to cut this away. Now you don't want to cut too low because you don't want to cut a hole into this. You want it to stay glued. So we can go ahead and ink that end. So there's that pocket. Not enough for the other part I want to do, but I do have an answer for that. When I did these, especially this one, it was farther down, I had a little bit more of this left over that I was able to, of course I don't have a piece here. What I did was I took these and I folded them in half, and I took my little circle and put it in there, and without going to the end so it didn't fall over, trimmed it so it had, I made a little tab. But these are a little bit skinny, so I'm going to have to get a little tab from something else. I do have a strip cut off from this. It was, because I said this was a 12 by 12, so when I cut it down to 8.5, 11, I did have a 1-inch strip. So I am thinking I should be able to use this and make a tab. I don't have one for this one, unfortunately. Try not to, I don't want it to go up too high to cut off the top, but I do want to try to center it so I round the edges on top as well as round the bottom. It works. Okay, let's get the next one. And we'll do the same thing. Okay, not too high so I can keep the fold and centered. There we go. I don't know, I think they're kind of cute, even though they are not fully round like the other ones were. All right, just doing a little inking around the edge. Okay, so for this, because it is a little cattywonk, I'm going to trim it down just ever so slightly to make it even. Okay, not too bad. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it in half, and so this is about 4 1/2 that way, and it is about 4 1/4 this way. So I'm going to cut it this way, the 4 1/2 down to 2 1/4. Oh, actually, no, I need to go. I'm not sure why this one is so much smaller. I don't know. I don't know. I folded it over. I'm very confused. I'm not sure, but you know what? Like usual, we can go ahead and fix that. So I wanted to go into here. So this is obviously too wide. So this way is just a little too wide. So I'm going to trim it down a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to trim it down just a hair. It's tight, and we want it to be able to go a little bit easier. That works okay. And that works okay. All right, so this is now 4 1/2. So again, 2 1/4, a little bit bigger than 2 1/4 for the tags. Okay, so it's like a wraparound, and we're going to go ahead and make sure that that's the way it goes. Yep, and we're going to glue the tag to the top where the map is because it coordinates. Oops, need some glue on the other side. Now it's going to be able to go in there. And I'm just going to, like normal, just going to nip the edges off a little bit just to have them be able to slide in a little better. Okay, there's that one, and I'm going to go ahead and nip the corners and ink it before I glue. Damn it. Okay, well, even with my little trials and tribulations here, I hope you enjoyed this project and think you might want to make something like that. I do like the idea of the paper with it folded over. I really wish I could figure out why it didn't work that time, because it worked so well the last time. It must have folded it a different direction. That had to be what it was. Because a piece of paper, that had to be what it was, now that I'm thinking about it. Because that piece of paper that's cut off is this size. So I think what I did is I glued it this way and folded it inwards that way and then cut it that way. That makes the most sense. See how that would flap over and then cut it that way. I think on this one, I did it this way and folded it in, which made it weird. So you want to glue the two pieces this way. You got the two pieces folded like that, glue together, fold that over, and cut it in half. That's what I did wrong. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, and then this one can go, still works in here and in there. Once again, I've said it before, is I am unfiltered. If I make a mistake, you see it. And it helps that if I make a mistake, that maybe you won't make the mistake, or if you do the same mistake I did, see how I tried to fix it. But realize that no matter what you do, in the end, you should be able to fix it because it's just paper, right? Well, I think they're fun. I definitely think they're fun. A little tab in there, and cute. Yeah, I like them a lot. Okay, well, my ticket, there we go. If you like the video, thumbs up would be great. Any questions or comments, and you probably have some questions since I was a little bit off the rails, please leave it below. I love to chat with you guys for this stuff. So that's going to be it for me today. I appreciate each and every one of you that has stopped by, and as usual, I hope you all have a wonderful and creative day. Bye now.